Hey, everybody. This is Crystal O'Connor with Bullet Talk Radio. So happy to have you back for yet another week. And we are moving into one heck of a crazy February. So hopefully, not only will you be able to keep up, but hopefully I can keep up. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but we'll figure it out as we go. As you may have heard, the largest consumer gun show is happening in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It opens up February 7th. That's the Great American Outdoors Show. And Bullet Talk Radio will be all over that floor the entire week, as well as attending the banquet on Thursday evening. And wow, am I looking forward to it. I've got some interviews lined up. I've got some contacts with some great firearm manufacturers. And I'm going to be sitting down with the NRA to talk about what their initiatives for 2015 are going to be, kind of the look ahead at 2015. And of course, to kick that off, the ILA and of course local news have been going absolutely nuts with the legislation, the legislative sessions that have opened up in the states across the country. And there are so many gun bills. And from what I'm finding so far, most of them are very pro-gun as opposed to anti-gun. We do have some big anti-gun battles ahead of us, but there are so many pro-gun bills, and many of these are just so awesome. These are bills I have been waiting for a very long time. So I kept looking through the news this week, and yes, there's a lot of fun stuff, and there's still news coming out of SHOT Show and all of this. But you know what? I'm going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff thanks to the show in the next 2 weeks. So we're going to go ahead and get down to business in this episode. So hang on to your hats. Are you ready? Hope so. We're starting off in the great state of Colorado. We have 3 bills on the docket. HB 1127. This one will grant civil immunity to businesses who allow you to carry on their property. Now, this is important. A lot of businesses don't allow employees to carry on their property, not necessarily because they want to be anti-gun, but because their lawyers or their insurance companies told them that they could be held liable if you, while carrying, do something stupid on their property. So this is going to grant businesses civil immunity. So if you carry on their property, the business can't be held liable for your actions, which really is how it should be. But it gives that business a little more latitude to say, okay, I'm not going to be held liable for whatever it is that you're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and allow you carry. Hopefully that will allow more businesses to open up to carry options. HB 1009 repeals legislation that was originally passed in 2013, which limits how many rounds you can use to protect yourself or your family to 15 rounds. Yeah, those kinds of laws are just stupid. I've got nothing else to say there. HB 1050 repeals a required background check for transfers. That was also passed in 2013. Moving on to Kansas SB 45, permitless carry. I love this. So you can open carry or you can concealed carry. And as long as you are engaged in legal activity, you do not require a permit in that state in order to carry. Great stuff. Moving on to Florida, we have House Bill 4005. This repeals a provision of the law that prohibits those with proper carry permits from being able to carry on college campuses. Now, if you've been listening to this show, you know how much I despise this concept of those who are legally allowed to carry, who have their carry permits, who are engaged in legal activity, cannot protect themselves on college campus. That's just stupidity. Well, this bill passed the House Criminal Justice Committee by a vote of 8-4. That was the first hearing for the bill. Good job, Florida. And North Dakota, I've got a list for North Dakota. I don't have a bill number for this one yet, but there is proposed legislation that would allow legislators to carry at the Capitol and inside Capitol buildings. HB 1156 would give applicants for a deer lottery license the option to donate the refund of an unsuccessful application to the private land open to sportsmen program. House Bill 1196 would offer reduced cost hunting and fishing licenses to residents and retired National Guard members. House Bill 1224 would increase the number of 7-day hunting periods allowed to non resident waterfowl hunters for 2 to 3 in a specific zone during each period. Can I just say, I've never gone waterfowl hunting, and I so want to go waterfowl hunting. Any invites? Anybody? House Bill 1242, an apparently large bill. This does multiple things. To bullet point, 1, it expands your right to carry to more public areas. It prohibits medical and healthcare providers from asking about gun ownership. Dear Lord, thank you. Requires CLEOs to sign NFAs in a timely fashion. So if you're not familiar, the National Firearms Act forms required are often needed to be signed by Chief LEO. And sometimes they just kind of sit on their laurels and just choose never to sign them. They just kind of leave them there in a paperwork pile on their desk, or they disappear into the nether regions. Who knows where these applications go? But this would require the CLEO to sign that NFA in a timely fashion. SB 2274, this is the shall sign, is the same thing as 1242, the CLEOs signing the NFAs. This is that part over in the Senate, and that has already been passed and has been sent back to the House of Representatives. So good job there. Hopefully it'll pass the House. Wyoming, we have House Bill 114. This would allow concealed carry inside government buildings, schools, and colleges. And again, if you've been listening to this show, you know that I say hurrah to this. Government buildings I never really understood. It's our house. What legal standing do they have for not permitting a law-abiding citizen from carrying their firearm under the Second Amendment and under state constitutions in order to protect themselves and others, the same as they would out on the public street, particularly inside Capitol buildings? That's my house. That's not your house. You just work there. That's my house. So I don't understand that, but yay. So that's Wyoming House Bill 114, allowing concealed carry in government buildings, schools, and colleges. Nebraska has Legislative Bill 60. This is what I like to call parking lot bill. And parking lot bill is the concept that an employer cannot prevent you from having a firearm properly locked up in a licensed vehicle. So if I'm perfectly legal to have my firearm, I'm perfectly legal to carry my firearm, and I come to your place of business and I'm employed by your place of business, and you say, no. You're not allowed to have your firearm in or on our property is what they often say. In fact, the company I work for actually has this in their handbook. Parking lot bill says, great, you can say that all you want, but in the parking lot in that person's car, if they want to lock up their firearm, they are more than welcome to do so. And the argument behind this the argument behind this is that if I'm driving to and from work every day, presumably at some point I need to stop and get some groceries or hit up the local pharmacy to pick up a prescription or some eye drops or a little lip gloss, whatever it is. But if I'm going to work and then on my way home from work, I need to make these little pit stops where I'm otherwise perfectly legal to carry. Well, they're now my employer is now prohibiting me my right to carry at those locations also. I'd have to go all the way home to get my firearm and then come all the way back. Well, if you've got an hour-long commute, as those of us in urban areas often do, thanks to traffic, that doesn't do us any good. So parking lot bill, I'm a big fan of parking lot bill. I would love to see something like that passed here in Pennsylvania. Again, in Nebraska, we have Legislative Bill 184. This allows the authorization of armed security at private and parochial schools. Good. Legislative Bill 190 designates spouses of active military stationed in Nebraska as citizens of the state for the purposes of obtaining a concealed handgun permit. Fantastic. Moving on to Alabama, I have House Bill 3, which makes it illegal to carry a firearm in a church without permission, even if you have a permit to carry. Alabama, I am surprised at you. This is the most ridiculous thing. Well, I'm not going to say the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, but it's awfully ridiculous. The argument is that parishioners should feel perfectly safe in going to church and worshiping their God without fear of the person next to them having a handgun on their hip. Really? I don't even know where to start with that. I kind of do, but, no. We'll just move on to West Virginia, shall we? This list is awfully long, so I'm not going to spend too much time on each one of these. So let's see. West Virginia, I don't have a bill number for this one yet, but a parent or guardian or spouse who is 21 years of age or older of a person below the age of 21 may allow the person to possess a pistol or revolver or the ammunition therefore for any lawful purpose while under the direct supervision of the parent or guardian or spouse who is 21 years of age or older, or while the person receives instruction in the proper use thereof from an instructor 21 years of age or older with the consent of such parent, guardian, or spouse. Basically, what that's saying is someone who is an adult can allow someone who is a child to use a firearm and to use ammunition, particularly for the purposes of training or other lawful purposes while under direct supervision. Cool. Thanks for clarifying that. Senate Bill 275, again, we're still in West Virginia, ensures the confidentiality of personal information for those with concealed carry licenses. So I got on a little bit of a soapbox about this back on episode 7. There is absolutely no good reason that the public needs to know who has concealed carry licenses. This is dangerous at best, and we have already seen many cases of reporters who are jumping on the anti-gun bandwagon and literally publicizing, not taking public information, it's public information, but who goes out and hunts for it? No, they're putting it in their newspapers and putting it up on the TV screens for everyone to see. That's not cool. Totally not cool. And it's, hey, reporters, it's none of your beeswax. Senate Bill 284 will require, again, CLEOs to sign the NFA in a timely fashion. Now, West Virginia is saying 15 days that the NFA must be signed, which would be awesome. House Bill 2120 allows individuals with a permit to carry on Capitol grounds and inside the Capitol building. So again, it's the whole, this is my house, not yours, and I am lawfully allowed to carry. So this is making it legal to carry on Capitol grounds and inside the Capitol building. Good job, guys. House Bill 2128 is essentially their parking lot bill only for Capitol grounds. So if you are legally allowed to carry and you have a licensed vehicle that you are parking on Capitol grounds, you can lock up your firearm appropriately in that vehicle, and that is a-okay. House Bill 2144 allows for hunting of game with a crossbow during archery season. Pennsylvania did this a couple years ago, and I say woohoo. There is a House Joint Resolution number 12, which will make it a constitutional right to hunt or fish. Hey, Why not? I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. Senate Bill 347, permitless carry. We're seeing a lot of this pop up across the states this year. Permitless carry, getting rid of any concealed carry permits or license to carry firearms. Some states are still offering a permit program if you want a permit in order to aid with reciprocity with other states. But otherwise, if you're a citizen, you're inside that state and you're otherwise lawfully permitted and you are participating in lawful activity, then you can carry without a permit, concealed or not concealed. Fantastic. Moving closer and closer to that constitutional carry that I am a big fan of. Arizona. House Bill 2118 prohibits private gun sales without going through an FFL for a transfer. How many times do we have to tell you people there's no such thing as a gun show loophole? Okay, I promise. And you're just making this way more difficult for the average citizen. This is not going to prevent a black market. The black market is still going to exist. HCR 2009 asks the same question, but it puts the question on the voters' ballot. So, everybody listening to the show, you all are registered to vote and you're all voting, right? Right? California. Oh, our favorite state, California. HR 410. This one kind of kills me. Creates a national, yes, you heard that right, national gun violence protection law. States are encouraged to set up a program for temporary seizure of guns from an individual at the request of a family member or a friend. Subject of the order can request a hearing within 14 days in order to request their property be returned. During that time, federal and state databases would be updated to prevent the purchase of new firearms. Yep, nope. Pennsylvania has a whole bunch going on. HB 230 is essentially constitutional carry. HB 130 kills the illegal firearms database in the state. So Pennsylvania does not have a firearm database. It has been ruled that it is not allowed to have a firearm database because in order to have a proper firearm database, it must be a complete database. However, thanks to private transfers, private sales, so on and so forth, it is impossible for the state to have a complete firearm database. Therefore, the database is illegal. But that doesn't prevent certain municipality police departments and even the state police department from maintaining their own said database, and they use it. Not cool, guys. Not cool. This bill cuts that. It says, nope, you cannot do that. Stop it. And if you have one, you must destroy it. You must destroy it. Or you will, I believe the penalty is fine. Nonetheless, good. Put some teeth into it. HB 80 updates reciprocity. Oh, yes. This one and HB 78 basically clarified the ability of the Attorney General to enter into reciprocity agreements, with which our Attorney General is able to do. But our Attorney General, who is currently being investigated, elections have consequences, people. But our Attorney General was kind of looking around at other states that we have reciprocity with and saying, no, I don't like you, so we're not going to have reciprocity with you anymore. No, I don't like you either, so we're not going to have reciprocity with you anymore. Our reciprocity agreements have always been fine and dandy, but now, all of a sudden, Attorney General Kane comes in and she's like, nope, 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 nope. So HB 80 kind of helps define reciprocity and what Pennsylvania requires in order to enter into a reciprocity agreement. And then HB 78 clarifies the ability of the AG to enter into these reciprocity agreements, restricting the AG's office to only look at specific points in the law in order to determine. So you can't put your personal biases into this anymore if these two pass. HB 45, disparity of force, is updated in the Castle Doctrine. Now, if you go over to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Bullet Talk Radio, there is a bonus episode up there. If you are a patron, you can get access to that bonus episode. And in that episode, I talk about domestic violence and disparity of force. This bill, HB 45, clarifies or defines disparity of force through our Castle Doctrine and allows for disparity of force inside the law. So disparity of force is a thing, but not all states actually recognize it as a thing. So Pennsylvania is looking to specifically recognize it as a thing, and they should. There's also a Senate memoranda from Senator Hughes and Farnese. They plan to introduce or reintroduce Senate Bill 664 from 2013-2014 session, which will require a training class in order to obtain an LTCF. That's moving in the wrong direction, and I don't see that going anywhere, and it better not. Massachusetts, they have an intended bill which will require mental health professionals to report those deemed mentally unfit to prevent their purchase of firearms. There are other states that already require this. There are requirements as to what should be reported and what constitutes being deemed mentally unfit. Kind of the objective versus subjective thing. So Massachusetts is trying to go down that road. Virginia. The legislator in Virginia canned 12 of your governor's gun control bills. Insert golf clap here. So SB 694 and 993 were gun show loophole. Killed. SB 768 expanded background checks, making it a misdemeanor to sell a gun without an FFL. Killed. SB 798, one gun a month, similar to SB 1178, both killed. SB 909 prohibited those with a restraining order from possessing a firearm. Similar bill was SB 912, both killed. SB 943 barred gun possession from one having a misdemeanor of stalking, assault, battery of family or household member, sexual battery. Killed. SB 1108 revoked handgun carry permits from those behind on child support. So I lost my job. Now I lose my Second Amendment right. Awesome. That's SB 1108. It was killed. SB 1179 makes it criminal to allow a child 4 years or under to hold a firearm, airsoft gun, or air gun. Killed. SB 1215 criminalized the sale of any item containing ivory, including gun grips. Bill's sponsor struck the bill himself. Killed by the sponsor. SB 1429, gun violence restraining order bill. Man, that just sounds all warm and fuzzy, doesn't it? Killed. Pro-gun bills moved forward. SB 1132 allows some lawful concealed carry on school campuses. SB 689 allows for lifetime concealed carry permits. SB 1137 allows for loaded rifle or shotgun in the car. SB 1155 requires law enforcement officers to make every attempt and effort to return recovered firearms to their rightful owner, as long as the owner is legally permitted to have the firearm. Woot woot, good job, Virginia. Moving on to New Hampshire, SB 116, permitless concealed carry. That sounds good to me. And Texas, I told you this was quite a list. Texas, SB 11 and HB 937, campus carry. SB 342 and HB 195, open carry. There is a House Joint Resolution 61 and a Senate Joint Resolution 22, which amends the state constitution to make it an individual right to hunt and fish. SB 273 and HB 226 imposes civil fines on state agencies, cities, or counties that improperly post 30 30-06 signs. Is that Texas? Help me out here. 30.06. I mean, that looks like 30-06 to me. Signs prohibiting CHLs from public property, which is not off limits to them under the Texas Penal Code. HB 308 removes the restrictions on where CHLs may lawfully carry that currently exist in the Penal Code. SB 311 repeals the criminal prohibition on carrying in certain locations listed in sections 46.03 and 46.035 that are considered private property or privately owned businesses. HB 206, 712, and SB 228 creates a sales tax holiday for firearms and or hunting supplies for one weekend out of the year around the start of hunting season. So tell me when that weekend happens and I'm going to fly to Texas to buy stuff. Oh, New York. New York. What are we ever going to do with you, New York? A 967 bans children under the age of 12 from gun shows. Yeah, you heard that right. Your 10-year-old cannot tag along at a gun show because, such bad things happen at gun shows. Have any of these people who are submitting these legislations actually been to a gun show? I mean, they know it's all like military memorabilia and knives, right? Maybe a few M1A grands or M1 grands. Montana HB 203 attempts to prevent local law enforcement from enforcing federal bans on semi-automatic weapons. Good. I did find some stuff on the federal level. We have S-263 and H.R. 578. This protects the rights of gun owners on land owned by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So I guess it was a couple years ago, some agreements were reached or bills were passed in which federal land you were permitted to participate in the firearm laws of your state on federal land. So if your state allowed concealed carry with a permit, for example, then you could conceal on federal land. However, there's a lot of federal land that is owned by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and that land was not included. This bill fixes that, or these bills, S-263 and H.R. 578. Back to the state level, I have Iowa. House File 45 prohibits government agencies from confiscating or regulating lawful possession, carry, or transfer, transportation, and defensive use of firearms or ammo during a state emergency. So basically, Iowa is saying, yeah, you're not pulling a Katrina on us. If you're not familiar, during Hurricane Katrina, there was some attempts at confiscation and prevention of citizens basically utilizing their Second Amendment right. And if you were watching the news at the time, you knew that they needed it desperately. It was a pretty sad situation there for a while. So some states have been passing laws that prohibit the state from being allowed to do that, and or government, in this case, government agencies. So House File 45 is basically saying, yeah, you can't do that. Good. House File 59 reforms preemption to prevent local municipalities from creating their own firearm regulations on the local level, since the state has since gone shall issue. So, as you know, I am from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has one of the strongest preemption laws in the country. And we've got a bunch of lawsuits going on here because of that. All good things. And some other states are taking notice and saying, we kind of would like to be able to pass our firearm laws either direction and the local municipalities can't pass their own regulations. Because what happens is the local municipality says, no, you can't carry it in this county, but you move to the next county over and you can carry. And then the next county you can carry, but only this way. And the next county has magazine round limits. And the next county has lost or stolen regulation. You can't drive from town to town, county to county without meeting different regulations. No one can keep up with that. That essentially, in and of itself, is banning access to your Second Amendment right, because you have no idea what you can do, so you just don't do it. That's not cool. So that's why preemption is so important. So make sure that that goes through. House File 99, a parent or guardian or spouse who is 21 years of age or older of a person below the age of 21 may allow a person to possess a pistol, revolver, or the ammunition therefor for any lawful purpose while under the direct supervision of the parent, guardian, or spouse who is 21 years of age. So this is basically the same thing we were just saying earlier, that if you are an adult and you have someone who's not yet an adult, in order to perform legal activities, you can lend them a firearm and ammo. This is particularly helpful for instruction, for competition, or even inside your home. So, good. House File 92 removes duty to retreat, so this is strengthening your castle doctrine. House File 70 bans sale or transfer of any magazine that holds 10 or more rounds. Again, these are feel-good legislations. There's absolutely no good that comes from banning the sale or transfer of any magazine that holds 10 or more rounds, and only bad. And those of you out there who might say, well, what do you really... I'm for the Second Amendment, but why do you need more than 5 rounds in your gun? Why do you need more than 10 rounds in your gun? Well, how many home invasions have you seen at which the number of attackers involved are 3? 3 attackers that come into your home. Now, let's say you go through a firearm training class. You're going through a concealed carry class or a pistol defense class, and they teach you a failure drill, what used to be known as the Mozambique drill. That's 2 to the center of mass, 1 to the head. That's 3. So if you have 3 attackers and you're going to put in 3 rounds in each attacker, that's how many rounds? What's 3 times 3? Well, that would be 9. So we're looking at simple math here. 5 rounds isn't going to do it. 7 rounds isn't going to do it. Let's hope you're a good shot and you don't miss, because you have to account for every bullet that leaves your gun. But nonetheless, 9 rounds used when you only have 10, you better really hope you don't miss. So yeah, magazine limits are dumb. Anyway, House File 76, universal background checks. Again, with the gun show loophole and the attack on private sales. I'm sorry, but this is not where criminals are getting their guns. This has been proven over and over and over again, so get off your high horse, Bloomberg. Moving on to Delaware, HB 23 updates caliber list permitted for hunting, and HB 25 allows for statewide harvest of the gray fox. I have a funny fox versus coyote hunting story I'll have to tell y'all sometime. The state of Washington. I used to think I could enjoy living in the state of Washington. Now you wouldn't catch me dead in the state of Washington. Sorry, guys. Proposed bill for both House and Senate would allow judges to temporarily confiscate firearms of people whom family or police consider to be an extreme risk of violence. Subjective versus objective. Somebody doesn't like you, somebody has a grudge. No thanks. Vermont. A proposed bill expands background checks to include private sale except in the case of immediate family. So if you want to give your firearm to your son or your daughter, you can do that, but that's about it without going through an FFL. Not cool. Just not cool. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we are doing the Great American Outdoor Show. I am heading out of here on Friday, so I will be there from Saturday until at least Thursday. I will be attending the banquet on Thursday, and we are going to be doing some interviews and taking a bunch of pictures, having all kinds of fun, and bringing the show to you. So if there's anything you're interested in knowing about and you can't go, drop me a note and I will put it on the priority list. And if you're going to be there, send me a message. I'd love to hook up and shake your hand and see your smiling face. That would be great. And today I'm actually testing out the microphone that I'm going to be using for interviewing. I picked up a nice new microphone specifically for on-site interviewing. Just a different for those not familiar. There are differences in microphones. Some that are so big that you could only ever put it on your desk, which is the one I usually use, and some that are so directional that it helps with the background noise. So if you're at something like a conference or a gun show and you've got all the background noise and all you want to hear is the person you're interviewing, well, that's what this microphone does. And I really like it. I really like the clean sound on it. I've used it for a few other things already. So, and I have some podcasting shows I'm doing next week, technical shows, non-gun related shows. So, and I'm going to play around with it then. So I'll be nice and comfortable and ready for it for next week. So hopefully it sounds good to you guys. But if you're wondering why I might sound a little different, that would be why. If you really like the show and you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, do me a really big favor and write a review for the show or just rate it, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5 stars, whatever you deem appropriate. Those ratings and reviews really help with where you are in your search ranking in those podcast directories. And the show has been growing, and I am just so blessed that you guys find it worth listening to me drone on and on and on about gun stuff. But you guys are so awesome. I love the feedback that you guys send and the conversations that we're getting into, and it's just so awesome. But anyway, if you want to see the show keep moving up and up and up, then please go ahead and rate the show. You can find the show at bullettalkradio.com, on Twitter at Bullet Talk Radio, on Facebook, facebook.com/Bullet Talk, and on Google plus.google.com/Bullet Talk Radio. And if you're on any of those platforms and you like it, go ahead and give it a share. You already know where BTR is going. If you want to support the show so that I can continue to afford things like nicer microphones to bring you good audio quality, audio recorders so I can go portable, or I am looking eventually to up my game camcorder style so that I can bring things like Appleseed to you or other training events to you. Other gun shows to you. I have some other things that might be coming up that will be really awesome. And, well, those things cost money. So, again, I'm not looking for a salary, just a little bit to help offset. And I am trying to get some bonus content out to you so that it's worth your while as well. So if you do want to support the show and see it continue to grow on that front, patreon.com/Bullet Talk Radio. That's patreon.com/Bullet Talk Radio. And the first premium episode was actually released. I mentioned earlier, it's called Silence is Not the Answer, and it's all about domestic violence and about disparity of force. So if you are so inclined, check it out. And I would greatly appreciate it. And please keep sending me that feedback, your tweets and the stuff that I see over on Google Plus and the comments that I'm seeing over on Facebook. I love it. I love talking to all you folks. That's the best part. So I will see you